Earlier today at the UFC Q&A in the lead up to UFC 321, Kamaru Usman made an absolute fool out of himself when he was asked by a fan about a potential Belal Muhammad fight. And the answer that he gave was hands down one of the dumbest answers to any question in the history of the MMA community. We're going to check it out in a second. But then afterwards, Belal Muhammad caught wind of it. Belal Muhammad saw a social media post with Kamaru Usman's answer. And very simply, very short and to the point, Belal Muhammad dunked Kamaru Usman on his bald spot, which is his entire head to be fair, and absolutely humiliated Kamaru Usman, which he really deserved for such a dumb answer. We're going to get to that in a second. But this all stems from an appearance Belal Muhammad made on Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo's podcast, which I believe was roughly a year ago. So there's some context to this that we're going to check out. So essentially, Belal went on Kamaru Usman's podcast. They got into it, and then afterwards, Usman never released the podcast. So here is Belal asked about it on the Full Send podcast. He gives his breakdown of it, and he actually he elaborated on some of these comments actually recently, because this was from May of this year, but he has a more recent appearance on another podcast where he talked about it as well. But listen to this.
So what happened?
We were on his podcast, and Henry Cejudo was like, how does it feel to be champion? And you're at the top now. And I'm like, it feels good right now because everybody wants to listen to you. Everybody thinks you're the champ. Usman's like, I was a champ too. It's like, yeah, but you're not the champ anymore. And then he just couldn't let it go. He's like, but I'm right there. I was like, nah, bro, you're on a 3-fight losing streak. And he's like, I still had the belt. And I was like, I'm the champion now. But he just couldn't give me my props, right? It was just one of those where he was just like, but anything you do, I do better than you.
Does this not sound 100% accurate of what Kamaru Usman probably said in this podcast? By the way, the podcast has never been officially released. The fans need to demand Kamaru Usman release this podcast. And it's very clear to me, and I've said this for a while, why hasn't it been released? It's because obviously Belal got the better of Kamaru Usman and made him look like a fool, probably verbally, as well as maybe physically, which we're going to hear in a second. And that's why he doesn't want to release it, because he's going to look dumb in the podcast. But he ends up looking even dumber at this Q&A.
And then I was like, but you didn't take the head kick better than me. And I think that just triggered him, where he was just like, I don't play these games, man. It's on site when people talk like that. And I'm just like, we're right in front of each other on site. So then, you
guys did it in person?
Yeah, it was in person.
Oh, because they do it over Zoom sometimes too.
No, this was in person. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
We had the same manager, right?
Yeah.
Ali was like,
Ali's the GOAT.
Bro, yeah, he's the man. And when he told me to go do their podcast, I was like, are you sure? He said, no, bro, it's going to be professional. It's going to be this. You're good. I was like, bro, it doesn't matter to me. I'm the champ. I don't really care. I'll go on the podcast. And then, Henry Cejudo twisted his ankle, had to break it up. But
you guys actually got into a physical?
Yeah. But
have you guys said that publicly ever or no?
Yeah. I mean, I think
I didn't know
put
that
out there. But
so there you go. There's kind of the backstory. Apparently they got into it, which a lot of people kind of forgot about. But then recently Belal did another interview where he says that he slapped Kamaru Usman during this altercation. So listen to this.
I think
This is recent. This is from the last 2 weeks.
More about the Usman. That's originally who you wanted.
yeah, of course, that was the fight that made the most sense, right? We had our podcast where I slapped him, and you'd want to get your get back.
Yeah.
But the fact that he didn't, he knows that the slap hurt him, and he knows that it's just a bad matchup for him. So for my mentality as a man, for somebody to slap you and you to say no.
On your own podcast.
Yeah, on your own podcast, and for you not to post it or talk about it, it just shows me what type of person you are. He's a coward. So I moved on. Ian Gary's been calling for it. He's been asking for it. So now let's see if he backs up that talk.
I don't think Belal's lying here. Could he be lying? Sure. I don't believe that Belal would lie about something like that. And also the fact that Kamaru Usman has been unwilling to release that podcast, Kamaru has a massive ego. He's probably heartbroken about it. But the fight made so much sense. You had Kamaru Usman on a 3-fight losing streak. He comes back and gets a win against Joaquin Buckley to throw his name back in the discussion. Belal was the champion. He loses to Jack Della Maddalena. He has a win, a domination win over the guy that took the title from Kamaru. There's a little bit of a bad blood component. They're both former champions. It made perfect sense. Everyone wanted to fight. The fans wanted to fight. Stylistically, it's an interesting fight. Kamaru Usman wanted nothing to do with it. So now we're getting Belal Muhammad versus Ian Machado Gary at UFC Qatar. But it looks like we're never going to see this podcast. I really think Kamaru probably already deleted it off every computer hard drive that he has because he doesn't ever want it to see the light of day. Well, anyway, we really never got an answer from Kamaru Usman. Well, why aren't you fighting Belal? Because if you fight Belal, Kamaru's talking about, I want to fight for the welterweight title, and then I want to fight for the middleweight title, and I want to be double champion, and I want to retire, and I want to get back to the title. Well, you're 1-3 in your last 4 fights with a win over Joaquin Buckley, who's not really a top contender, and somehow you think you're waiting for a title shot? Had you fought Belal, that could have arguably been a number 1 contender fight, but you're not fighting Belal, so why aren't you fighting Belal considering everyone wants to fight? It makes perfect sense. Of course, Kamaru Usman had the dumbest answer known to man, but by the way, shout out to this fan for even asking this question, I swear. This fan is better than most of the MMA media members, so listen to this.
My name is Abdi. I'm from Seattle, Washington. My question is for Usman. So you and Belal Muhammad have had a lot of beef on social media. You guys did a lot of back and forth, and you had a lot to say about him on your podcast. Why are you not getting in the octagon with him instead of Ian?
Well, we didn't have a lot of back and forth. It was just a lot coming from him. I just think he's a dork, and, you know.
I just think he's a dork. He doesn't want to answer this question. By the way, great question. Yeah, he talked about him on his podcast. Okay? Kamaru Usman at one point was trying to set up an undeserved title shot against Belal. But now that Belal lost the title but is still ranked number 1 in the welterweight division, now Usman's trying to big time. And by the way, look at the rankings, which we're going to get to in a second. Look at the rankings. Belal at number 1. Usman is at number 5. Usman doesn't even belong at number 5. Usman belongs at like number 6. But yeah, I think Belal's a dork, man. You're the dork.
What you do with dork is you ignore them. Because, and this is a question, I like that question. This is the thing is.
Look, he's literally stalling for time to try to think of a creative answer. I don't think there's anything going on in his head. I really don't. He doesn't know what to say. He never thought, what would I say if I got asked about ducking Belal Muhammad? He's like, well, I like that question, and this is the question, and I like that. I mean, it's just a joke. I'm just going to rewind it back and let it play through. I mean, this is so dumb to me. I just can't believe this.
I like that question. This is the thing is, for someone like myself and Belal Muhammad, right now Belal Muhammad is ranked what? Number 1 in the division, and I'm below him. I'm looking at the title. I've been where he hasn't been.
What the fuck is It is Friday. I usually don't like to make videos on Friday, especially late on a Friday before a pay-per-view. How does somebody make that make sense? Belal's above me, and I'm looking because I've been places he's never been. And he goes on to say, well, I've defended the title. Dude, you defended the title when? 2021? What? What is he even saying? Literally. Let's pull it up. 21-4. His last title defense was in November of 2021 against bummy-ass Colby Covington. UFC 268. 4 years ago. 4 years ago. Went on a 3-fight losing streak. Lost to Leon Edwards via KO. Head kick KO. Lost to Leon again in the decision. Lost to Hamzat Chimaev on short notice. And then finally beat Joaquin Buckley. And he's saying, I'm looking... Like what? Like what? Somebody explain to me how this makes any sense.
And Belal Muhammad. Right now, Belal Muhammad is ranked what? Number 1 in the division, and I'm below him. I'm looking at the title. I've been where he hasn't been. Yes, of course he's been the champion, but we saw what happened when it was time for you to defend. And so I have nothing to gain from fighting Belal Muhammad. He has all to gain. That's why he's the one calling me out. He has all to gain from me. I'm not here to waste time. I want to get the title, and I want to continue on my track of defending.
Look at this. this guy over here, John Gooden, is like, what the fuck is going on? Nasruddin's like, what the fuck? Carlos Ulberg's like, what is this guy talking about? He's ranked above you. You're number 5. He's number 1. What do you have to, you don't have anything to gain by beating him? Maybe a title shot. By the way, we're going to call out one of Kamaru Usman's teammates as well in a second, but let's let him finish this out. This is so dumb.
Being that champion again. Why waste time with him? If I have the title and he's the next guy, I would luckily kick his head in.
I respect it. Thank you.
Hey, you respect that? And never mind, I take everything I said about that guy back. You respect that? I would have been like, what do you mean you have nothing to gain? You beat bummy-ass Buckley, and you think 1 in 3 in your last 4 has earned you a welterweight title shot because you defended the title back in 1987? What? Yeah, man, I think Belal's a dork, and Belal, and I'm ignoring the dork. Release the podcast. Everyone should be harassing Kamaru Usman to release the podcast. But it just makes no logical sense because I know the rankings, I've said before, basically when it comes to the UFC, the rankings mean nothing. But does Kamaru Usman actually think he's sitting out waiting for a title shot? I mean, dead serious. Shavkat's more deserving. Sean Brady's more deserving. Belal's more deserving. Ian Machado Gary's more deserving. Marlon Moraes or Michael Morales is more deserving. And he thinks he's going to get a title shot? How? Like, I'm trying to understand what's going through his head. If Usman would have accepted the Belal fight, and let's say you went out there and beat Belal decisively, there would have been a clamoring for former welterweight champion Kamaru Usman, who's back on the rise again, for one last run for that welterweight title. There would have been a clamoring for that. But nobody wants to see you get a title shot off a win over Joaquin Buckley, where then you sit out afterwards. He beat Buckley in June. It's almost November. That's insane. Where's the time gone? It's damn near half a year later. It's 5 months later. You still haven't fought again. You didn't take any damage in this fight. You were on a 3-fight losing streak prior. And now you don't want to fight Belal, former champion. Oh, there's Belal's response. You don't want to fight Belal, former champion, who was on a crazy run up until he lost to Jack Della Maddalena earlier this year. But to top it all off, Belal Muhammad responded because this was posted on social media. This is just a quote of what Kamaru Usman said at that Q&A. You know a lot about getting your head kicked in. I mean, does Belal need to say more? Is that not facts? People, criticize Belal and say he's cringy. I've said this before. Belal is one of the best trash talkers in the sport, and I will die on that hill. This is a perfect response because if you heard Usman right at the tail end there before everyone was applauding him for the world's dumbest answer, if he's the next guy in line, then I'll gladly kick his head in.
I'm not here to waste time. I want to get the title, and I want to continue on my track of defense.
By the way, waste time? Dude, you sat out for 5 months. You got no fight in sight, so you're at least sitting out the rest of the year. So you're talking sitting out for half a year. When are you fighting for the title? Islam JDM's going down in a couple weeks. And then they're probably not fighting for 4 or 5 months. So you don't want to waste time, but you want to sit out for a year, turning down a fight of a guy who is the #1 contender ranked right now. But you want to kick his head in. You want to kick his head in. If he's the next guy, but you're talking about a middleweight fight as well, which I'm not even going to show you that whole portion.
Being that champion again. Why waste time with him? If I have the title and he's the next guy, I would luckily kick his head in.
I would luckily kick his head in? I'm not even sure that makes sense. I would luckily kick his head in. I think he means gladly. I'll tell you this right now. He's wearing sunglasses indoors, which apparently a lot of people like to do. It's dead behind these eyes, man. There's nothing going on in that brain. Kamaru Usman's just a meathead. And Belal had the perfect response. You know a lot about getting your head kicked in. Which is actually facts, okay? Because Kamaru Usman, obviously, that's a reference of Leon Edwards winning the title via head kick KO in the 5th round, which was absolutely insane. One of the craziest moments of 2022. Oh, it was over 3 years ago Leon kicked his head in. That's insane. But I really think Belal humiliated him here. Now, the last thing I want to show you guys, because this seems to be like a Trevor Whitman camp problem, because earlier today, and I'm not going to have a chance to cover this in any other video unless something pops up next week, Justin Gaethje says he's sitting out and waiting for Ilia Topuria. What the fuck is going on? Listen to this.
Next time we're going to see Justin Gaethje fight.
My next fight, I am planning on fighting whenever Ilia Topuria is fighting. I was hoping they would let me fight him in January, but I can't really see that happening now. The biggest question is, when is Ilia fighting again? I don't know the answer to that, and I don't know that anybody except him and his team know the answer to that. Best case scenario now is they just put us on the White House card. I cannot imagine why they would not put that fight on that card. You know, he's a champ. He's very popular.
This dude's got CTE, and I'm not kidding. You got one fight, you're one win against a short notice Rafael Fiziev. I mean, look at the rankings right now. Gaethje's number 5, same as Usman. They're begging for undeserved title shots. What is going on? I told you guys, it's all fun and games when a fighter you like gets an undeserved title shot. It's a slippery slope, and now everyone's demanding undeserved title shots now. In what work? Like, Gaethje just got KO'd by Max Holloway literally last year. The same Max Holloway then went on to get KO'd by Ilia Topuria. Now Gaethje thinks, oh, I'm exciting, man. Let me get a title shot. We have Armin. We have Patty. Both those guys are more deserving than Justin Gaethje. But Gaethje's unwilling to take on any matchups. He's saying, I'll retire before I don't fight for the title. Nobody wants to see your CTE ass fight Ilia Topuria. That would be a joke of a fight.
I'm an American, just as deserving as anybody in the lightweight division. I've never not shown up for a fight, never let the UFC down, never failed them, and I've always been there for them. So I expect to get that fight and represent the United States of America on the White House lawn.
Dude wants Topuria at the White House. I've never let them down. I've always been there for him. What are you doing, sucking Dana White's dick? Coddling his balls? What a joke, man. And I like Gaethje, but I'm beginning to really dislike him. I hate this entitled mentality. I won one fight. Give me a title shot, please. I've earned it. Like, what? I'm going to sit out and wait? When did he even... Now I got to search this up real quick. When did he even fight Rafael Fiziev? That was a bit ago. So you're just sitting out waiting potentially to fight in June of next year? Fought in March. You can't make this up. He fought in March. He's going to wait 16 months for an undeserved title shot against Ilia Topuria. So to sum this all up, Gaethje's a fucking clown. Usman, one of the dumbest answers I have ever heard in the history of a UFC Q&A. And thank God Belal absolutely humiliated him. And I know Belal isn't everyone's favorite fighter. I actually really like Belal. I think he's an elite fighter. And I think he was kind of denied of his title shot for a long time. I actually think Belal's higher on the GOAT list at welterweight than Kamaru Usman based on his actual resume. But Kamaru Usman said, man, I defended my titles, man. So he's above me, but I don't have... We'll listen to that one more time because I had to listen to how dumb that sounds before we end this video. Because this was so dumb, it's not even funny. Listen to this. Listen to this. Hopefully this is it.
And this is a question. I like that question. I mean, this is the thing is, for some...
This is the question. I like that question. This is the thing. All right, spit it out, doofus. You dumb fuck.
Someone like myself and Belal Muhammad, right now.
Someone like myself and Belal Muhammad. You are 1-3 in your last 4. He is 3-1 in his last 4. With like a 13-fight unbeaten streak. So he's like 13-1, okay, in his last like 14. But either way, someone like me and Belal, like this dude's trying to big time Belal, like he's somebody. Usman, you haven't been anybody since 2022.
Now Belal Muhammad is ranked what? Number 1 in the division, and I'm below him. I'm looking at the title. I've been where he hasn't been. Yes, of course he's been the champion, but we saw what happened when it was time for you to defend.
You've been where he hasn't been. A 3-fight losing streak. 3-fight losing streak. He's never even lost 2 in a row. You lost 3 in a row. So yeah, you have been. Oh, Belal needs to... If somehow Belal's watching this, he made it all the way to the end. Yeah, I've been where you've been where I haven't been. A 3-fight losing streak. I've never even lost 2 in a row. What a fucking joke. This shit really aggravated me. I wouldn't typically do a video on a late Friday, but I just had to cover this because how illogical this was from Kamaru Usman and how brain dead this was from Kamaru Usman. It was like a broken NPC bot. That's what it felt like. You guys have to let me know what you think of this. Comment down below, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thank you so much for watching.